Since 2011, the Virginia Department of Corrections has consistently worked to reduce the use of restrictive housing in DOC facilities. In the wake of a highly successful initiative called the Administrative Segregation Step-Down Program, the department launched a comprehensive effort to divert specific populations out of extended segregated environments. The plan called for the expansion of a program first developed at Wallens Ridge State Prison called Shared Allied Management Units, also known as SAM units. SAM units function to better address the offender's needs and reduce high demands on security, mental health staff, and medical staff.
This is a unit that's meant to address a population that often cycles in and out of a restrictive housing environment, both what you see in Virginia and nationally. These populations typically are offenders who are categorized as a vulnerable population, those who are smaller in demeanor or stature, that would often makes an offender more likely to be victimized in a much larger population based upon his own physical appearance or his own lack of wanting to progress into population with others. You also have a mental health population. This is a population who's experienced a history of either has experienced diagnoses or has experienced a history of ongoing mental health issues. It doesn't have to necessarily be an offender who rises to a level of being seriously mentally ill, but it certainly could categorize that population as well. We also have a population within SAM's environment that is a medical population. These offenders typically have a medical condition, either a short-term or long-term medical condition, however, does not rise to a level of being managed in an infirmary type environment. The idea is to develop pro-social attitudes and behaviors among these offenders to allow for programs that are more therapeutic in nature and allow for them to develop these pro-social behaviors with each other.
I think it's made a tremendous difference in the population getting the services and treatment that they need. Also providing them a space where they can safely share their vulnerabilities when it comes to mental illnesses and how it impacts them.
The SAM unit provides a continuum of services to assist in the planning for the offender's release and successful transition to society. Within this modified therapeutic community, offenders experience unique programs such as Distress Tolerance Skills Group, which includes Dialectical Behavioral Therapy, or DBT. DBT provides an overall hierarchy of treatment goals, beginning with decreasing life-threatening and institution-threatening behaviors, increasing participation in treatment, increasing quality of life, and improving behavioral skills.
It helped me cope with my bipolar and how to deal with my mental health issues. I got in trouble a lot. I had problems with my hands. I fight a lot. The SAM unit is wonderful. I haven't gotten in trouble in a year. They teach you things, work with you on your anger or depression, make sure you get your medication.
There's a high awareness of the fact that you got mentally ill people in the pod. So, there's a lot more attention to those inmates. And one of the things I've struggled with in the past is not being able to get, people to kind of understand that, hey, I'm not banging on the door, joshing you right now. I really got a problem. So because there's a high awareness of that, they pay more attention, So if you do have a problem, they take it very serious.
It puts it more on a personal level for everybody. It opens up a lot of dialogue opportunities. It has allowed the barrier to be broken down and staff are able to engage in a dialogue. And it's creating a sense of comfort, I would say, and the offenders are able to dialogue back with us.
Traumatic Stress and Resilience, another SAM unit program, involves interactive journaling to identify personal challenges, strengths, and skills to promote recovery and build resilience. By identifying characteristics and common symptoms of trauma, participants can begin to develop strategies to cope with traumatic events.
When I first got here, I had some ups and downs. I was going through a lot, I didn't want to do a lot of things, and by me being in the SAM's part and working through these programs and getting more, like I said, communication from other people and talking and letting it all out, letting them feel what you're going through, find somebody that can hear what you're going through and stuff like that, and I think that was a big change in my life.
It's more laid back than anything. You don't have to put up with all the bullying. You don't have to put up with all the harassment from other inmates. A majority of the time in that pod right there, you're calm maybe 95% of the time. The only time you're not calm is if you get rambunctious yourself.
I had a convict mentality that I was never getting out of prison, and I had a certain way that I had to behave and act to represent myself in front of other people, other inmates, other prisoners. Now I don't feel that burden on me because I know I ain't got to be around them for the rest of my life.
One of the main things I've seen, and this is something I've stressed to them, because a lot of men, they don't like this idea of being vulnerable. And over the course of my time working with the guys, I've noticed a sense of growth in which they are more inclined and not afraid to share their vulnerabilities and put themselves out there and share their stories and their symptoms so that they can get the treatment that they need, you know, to heal, essentially, because most of these guys are going to be walking out of here one day. So I want to equip them with the tools and resources they need to be successful in society.
SAM unit residents also review topics such as crisis intervention, anger management, and emotional regulation. The goal is that offenders will eventually return to the mainstream general population or transfer to a lower-level security facility with appropriate services.
We do have individual pathways for the offenders within the SAM units, and it's based upon some of the criteria as to what qualified them to be placed within that environment. If it is medical, or if it is vulnerable, or if it is mental health. And it's important that we adhere to those pathways because we focus on the offender's reentry. Some progress back into reentry sooner than others, but it also allows us to develop individualized case plans based upon their criminogenic needs that were discovered in their COMPASS assessments, which really allows us to address the offenders on an individual basis.
To provide additional opportunities for the offenders to learn new skills and contribute to the surrounding communities while engaging in pro-social healthy interactions, staff has developed creative ways to engage the SAM unit populations. Stephanie Fletcher, a psychology associate 2 at Red Onion State Prison, uses horticulture to help SAM unit offenders understand the concept of healthy relationships.
A lot of our offenders unfortunately grew up in situations where maybe they didn't have that modeled to them. They may have never seen a healthy relationship, even in terms of interacting with parents or siblings or people in the community. So if you've never seen it, how do you know how to replicate it? How do you know how to have healthy relationships? So it's our hope that we can show them what a healthy relationship looks like and help them develop those relationships.
SAM Unit Counselor Johnnie Walker organized the Pillow Project at Green Rock Correctional Center. With donations of funds and supplies, the SAM Unit creates pillows for cancer patients. The inspiration came from a nurse who made similar pillows for patients, including Walker's mother.
And these pillows have more of a purpose than just a gift. They're actually given to the patient in order for once they have their surgery, they are able to place it underneath their arm to help cope with the pain. We were kind of discussing what was the direction of our SAM unit, what we needed to do, how could we get these guys more involved. So with that being said, I threw it out there and it was well received. And we have donated right at over 300 pillows. I actually brought in that navigation nurse and my mother, because I wanted them to see how it affected the community. I wanted them to hear and see firsthand how what they did in here spilled out to there.
Finger knitting or crocheting has become quite popular. Offenders describe the process as calming and therapeutic.
I come over here because it's quiet and, you know what I mean, you can just have your own thoughts and just quiet time away from all the loud noise and all the loud obnoxiousness, and just come over here and just do something for a good cause. It's pretty rewarding.
The finished products are donated to local cancer centers and women's shelters.
When the ladies came and got our scarves the first time, and we got to take a picture with them, and you know, basically they all gave us a hug and said thank you, and just to see their, you could see their appreciation, and just knowing that what I did, even though it didn't take no time to do it, made that smile on their face, made them, you know what I mean, that was just like, oh, you know, it was just heavenly. It was just so rewarding. You know what I mean? When I was on the street, all I did was do a lot of destructive stuff. So now I'm able to do something positive, and maybe, just maybe, I can get rid of some of that stain that I left out there the first time, you know, so.
When we started our finger knitting project, which I got the idea from Green Rock, it was so interesting because we had a group of individuals from all backgrounds, ages, you know, just a bunch of diversity, sitting there with yarn, trying to knit and helping each other, you know, like, no, you do it this way, or try it this way. And, you know, the frustration was there, of course, but the way they supported each other and working through those frustrations was pretty amazing, so.
Since implementation, SAM units have expanded to more than 770 beds allotted across 11 Virginia Department of Corrections institutions. The dedicated staff maintain open minds, actively employing empathy and patience to give each individual the support needed to successfully and positively transition to mainstream general population settings or re-entry to the community.
We've seen huge success and strides. We've seen it from a numerical standpoint in collection of data, but we've also seen it in some of the ways that offenders are programming and how those programs are reaching into the community, which is a huge success. From a numerical standpoint and looking at the data and the success of our SAMs, we've seen in a comparison for an offender prior to being placed into a SAM environment and since his placement into a SAM environment, across the board you see a decrease in the placement in restrictive housing for that offender, the reduction in the length of stay for that offender as well. You see reductions in medical emergency transportations. You see reductions with the disciplinary offenses with both a 100 and 200 series. And you also see reductions in internal incident reports as well.
The Virginia Department of Corrections' long-term vision is to be a progressive and proven innovative leader in corrections. We achieve this using research, data analysis, and reporting of outcomes. Virginia maintains the lowest recidivism rate in the country, an achievement that requires the provision of programs like the SAM units that reach offenders in varying conditions to safely and successfully prepare them for re-entry to society.